The sleek Imperial vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, its polished surface reflecting the bright morning sun. Han Taesung straightened his formal attire as he stood with the welcoming committee on the landing pad. As Earth's chief diplomat to extraterrestrial civilizations, this would be his most important meeting yet. The ship's ramp extended with a soft hiss. 3 tall figures emerged, their skin pale blue with intricate markings across their faces. They wore matching silver uniforms adorned with symbols of rank. "Welcome to Earth," Taesung said with a slight bow. "We are honored by your presence." The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am High Commander Vekth of the Galactic Empire. We come to evaluate your world's status within our domain." Something in the alien's tone made Taesung's skin prickle. Before becoming a diplomat, he had served in special operations. Those instincts never fully disappeared. Inside the conference room, Earth's representatives had prepared extensive presentations about human culture, achievements, and hopes for peaceful exchange. The Imperial delegates watched with unreadable expressions. "Your technological progress is concerning," Vekth said after the presentations concluded. "Most species take twice as long to reach your current development." "We're eager learners," Taesung replied with a smile. "We hope to contribute positively to the galactic community." "Indeed." Vekth's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your species' unpredictability is well documented. You develop weapons alongside medicines. You create art about both love and war." The meeting continued, but Taesung noticed how the Imperial representatives avoided specific commitments about trade or cultural exchange. They asked pointed questions about Earth's military capabilities and governance systems. During a brief recess, Taesung slipped away to a secure room where his assistant waited. "Something's wrong," he whispered. "They're assessing us, not meeting us." "The tracking device you suggested we place on their shuttle is active," his assistant replied. "We're monitoring all communications." When talks resumed, Taesung tried a different approach. "We understand the Empire maintains peace across thousands of worlds. We would value your guidance on joining this peaceful collective." For the first time, Vekth smiled. "Peace requires compliance. Some species require time to understand their proper place." By evening, the Imperial delegates announced they needed to return to their ship to consult with their leadership. They promised to continue discussions the following day. They never returned. At midnight, Taesung was awakened by an urgent call. He rushed to the underground monitoring facility where intelligence officers had intercepted and decoded Imperial communications. "It's worse than we thought," the lead officer explained, displaying translated text on a large screen. "They've classified Earth as a Category 7 emerging threat requiring immediate intervention." Taesung read the orders with growing alarm: deploy silencer units to eliminate key leadership nodes. Prepare containment protocols. "They're sending assassins," he said quietly. "They want to destabilize us before we can unite against them." The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity's first contact with an advanced civilization wasn't going to be a celebration of cosmic brotherhood, it would be a fight for survival. Within hours, emergency meetings convened in secret bunkers around the world. Military leaders proposed defensive measures, but Taesung knew conventional approaches would fail against an enemy with technology centuries beyond Earth's. "Their assassins will have capabilities we can't counter with ordinary methods," he explained to the Emergency Council. "Shields, sensors, guards, these won't stop them." "What do you suggest?" asked the UN Secretary General. Taesung took a deep breath. "I need to reactivate skills I hoped never to use again. My family has preserved ancient traditions, ways of moving unseen, striking from shadow. Combined with my special operations training, I might have a chance against their killers." "You're proposing to fight alien assassins using, what? Ninja techniques?" A military general scoffed. "Exactly," Taesung replied without hesitation. "They'll expect high-tech countermeasures. They won't expect someone who can move without technology, who understands the art of invisibility that predates their sensors." While public diplomatic channels sent messages asking for the Imperial delegates to return, Taesung disappeared into a secure facility. He opened a case containing items passed down through his family for generations, specialized clothing, weapons designed for silence, and tools that required no power source. 3 days later, the first attack came. The President of the European Union collapsed during a speech, a molecular blade having pierced her heart despite layers of security. Hours later, 2 more world leaders fell. The silent war had begun. And Earth's most unusual defender was ready to strike back. The first sign of trouble came as a whisper of displaced air. Nothing more. The UN Secretary General was addressing his Security Council when the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. Han Tae-sung, positioned quietly in the corner as an administrative observer, noticed the subtle shift. Years of training had made his senses sharp. While everyone focused on the Secretary General's speech about unified Earth defenses, Tae-sung saw the nearly invisible ripple of light near the ceiling vent. Something, or someone, was moving through it. He gave no indication he had noticed. Instead, he calmly tapped a pattern on his thigh, a silent count. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps. The meeting would end in exactly 5 minutes. When the Secretary General moved toward the door, Tae-sung casually shifted position. The air rippled again, this time near the exit. No one else noticed. As the diplomats filed out, Tae-sung dropped his pen. While bending to retrieve it, he slipped a small cloth pouch from his sleeve. With a flick of his wrist, he scattered its contents, fine powder made from a mixture of chalk and iron filings, toward the doorway. The powder revealed a humanoid outline where nothing should be. An imperial silencer, perfectly cloaked. The assassin, realizing it was exposed, moved with blinding speed. A blade materialized in its hand, a molecular cutter that could slice through metal as easily as flesh. It lunged toward the Secretary General. But Tae-sung was faster. He drove a wooden throwing spike directly into the revealed outline. There was a mechanical whine as the cloaking technology failed. The assassin became fully visible, tall, blue-skinned, wearing a fitted suit of technological marvels. The silencer hissed in pain but didn't fall. It spun toward Tae-sung, who was already moving. He slid beneath the assassin's swing, drawing a thin cord from his belt. With a twisting motion, he looped it around the alien's ankles and pulled. The security team finally reacted, weapons drawn. But they hesitated, unsure what they were seeing. "Get the Secretary General to safety," Tae-sung shouted, rolling away from a strike that cracked the marble floor. The silencer's equipment began to emit a high-pitched whine. Tae-sung recognized the sound from intelligence reports, a self-destruct sequence. "Everyone out," he yelled, diving through the nearest window as the room erupted in blue flame. Later, in a secure bunker 50 feet below ground, Tae-sung examined the few pieces of alien technology he'd managed to recover before the assassin's suit had destroyed itself. 3 more world leaders dead today, said Kim Jae-woo, his newly assigned security liaison. She was young but had the steady eyes of someone who had seen combat. Same pattern. No warning, no traces. Tae-sung nodded grimly. The one I stopped was surprised. They don't expect physical intervention, they rely on their technology. How did you know it was there? Jae-woo asked. Old techniques. The powder I used is something my grandfather taught me. No electronics, no batteries to detect, Tae-sung explained. Their cloaking bends light but displaces air. If you know what to look for, you can sense it. The emergency channel buzzed. The president of Brazil had just been attacked during a private dinner. Unlike the others, he had survived, barely. They're accelerating their timeline, Tae-sung said. Where's the Brazilian president now? Hospital in Rio. Why? They'll try again. Their mission parameters won't allow for failure. Within hours, Tae-sung was in Rio. Instead of high-tech equipment, he carried simple tools, bamboo darts, powders, cords, and wooden weapons. He wore a fitted black garment that allowed silent movement. In the hospital, he bypassed the overwhelming security by using maintenance tunnels. The president's room was guarded by 20 elite soldiers with the latest weapons and scanning equipment. Tae-sung settled into a space between ceiling panels, perfectly still, waiting. At 2:17 a.m., the lights flickered briefly. The guards tensed but saw nothing on their scanners. Tae-sung, however, noticed the subtle temperature drop he'd come to recognize. When the silencer emerged through an air vent, moving toward the sleeping president, Tae-sung was ready. He dropped silently behind the cloaked figure and struck with a wooden baton at precisely the spot where he'd discovered a weakness in their suits. The alien assassin's cloaking failed. As guards shouted in alarm, Tae-sung engaged the silencer in close combat, using techniques that required no technology, just perfectly honed human skill developed over centuries. This time, he managed to disable the self-destruct mechanism before the assassin could activate it. As the alien fell unconscious, Tae-sung secured it with specialized restraints. Who are you?" asked the lead security officer. Tae-sung straightened his simple black clothing. "Someone who understands that sometimes the oldest methods work best against the newest threats." For the first time, Earth had captured an Imperial assassin alive. And Tae-sung knew this was just the beginning of their defense. The captured silencer provided Earth with invaluable intelligence before the Empire remotely terminated it. Han Tae-sung studied the recovered technology with intense focus, identifying weaknesses in the alien systems. Their cloaking devices emitted faint heat signatures. Their neural weapons required milliseconds to activate. Most importantly, they relied entirely on technology. "We need to go dark," Tae-sung told the Emergency Council. "They track electronics, communications, and energy signatures." The council members looked skeptical. "Are you suggesting we abandon our defenses?" asked the military representative. "I'm suggesting we embrace older methods they won't expect," Tae-sung replied. "They anticipate high-tech countermeasures. They don't understand human history, specifically, the ways humans fought before modern technology." 3 days later, Tae-sung disappeared from the grid. He abandoned all electronic devices and modern weapons. He traveled to a remote mountain location where his family had maintained a traditional training compound for generations. The old wooden buildings contained no metal or electronics. There, Tae-sung immersed himself in the teachings of his ancestors. He practiced moving silently across uneven surfaces. He refined techniques for breathing so quietly that not even sensitive alien equipment could detect his presence. He honed skills in using the environment as both weapon and shield. At night, he studied the alien technology by candlelight. He discovered their sensors could detect the smallest electronic signal but were blind to simple chemical reactions. Their armor was impenetrable to bullets but vulnerable to specific natural materials that disrupted their energy fields. "They've evolved beyond understanding primitive threats," he murmured to himself. The Empire, meanwhile, continued its assassination campaign. More world leaders fell. Conventional security measures failed consistently. The remaining governments grew desperate. Then came the incident in Tokyo. An Imperial silencer had targeted the Japanese Prime Minister during a private meeting. Security cameras failed. Guards were neutralized, standard Imperial tactics. But something unexpected happened. The assassination failed. Witnesses reported seeing nothing, just the silencer suddenly becoming visible, its cloaking disabled, before being struck by unseen attacks from multiple directions. The alien assassin had been neutralized using what appeared to be wooden weapons and rope. Tae-sung watched the news from a mountain village. He smiled slightly. His first student had succeeded. Park Do-hyun had been a skeptical Special Forces soldier when Tae-sung first approached him. "You want me to learn ninja techniques to fight aliens?" he had scoffed. Now, Do-hyun was a believer. And he wasn't alone. Kim Jae-woo had joined their growing shadow network, bringing her remarkable adaptability and quick learning. In his mountain hideaway, Tae-sung expanded his training program. He selected candidates carefully, people with exceptional physical abilities, but more importantly, those who could think beyond conventional military tactics. He chose individuals who understood stealth wasn't just about not being seen, it was about not being perceived at all. The Empire's weakness is their over-reliance on technology, he explained to his small group of students. They've forgotten the original forms of combat that technology was designed to enhance. The training was grueling. Students learned to move without sound, to feel changes in air pressure that signaled a cloaked silencer's presence, to use natural materials that disrupted alien technology. While his students trained, Tae-sung hunted. He tracked Imperial assassins across varied landscapes, city centers, desert outposts, forest hideaways. Each environment offered different challenges, different ways to use nature against technology. In the Amazon rainforest, he located a silencer team preparing to attack a gathering of South American leaders. Rather than confronting them directly, he manipulated the environment. He used specific plants that released compounds interfering with their equipment. He redirected water to damage their technology. He left false trails that led them into natural hazards. When the confused and diminished silencer team finally attempted their mission, they found themselves facing not advanced defensive systems, but shadows that moved with purpose. Tae-sung and two of his students neutralized the Imperial assassins using techniques that predated electricity. The Empire responded by sending more silencers, more advanced models. But each failure confused them more. Their reports back to Imperial Command described impossible scenarios, humans appearing from nowhere, attacks that left no electronic signature, defenses that couldn't be scanned. In a secure bunker, one of the few places Tae-sung still used technology, he received word that the Imperial Command had designated Earth as a Class 1 anomaly. They were escalating. Good, Tae-sung said quietly. They're beginning to fear what they don't understand. He turned to Jiwoo and Do-hyun. The Empire thinks technology is the only path to advancement. We'll show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our tools, it's our ability to adapt and overcome when those tools are taken away. As darkness fell, Tae-sung and his shadow warriors prepared for the next phase of their response. The Empire had sent their best assassins. Earth had answered with something far older and far more unexpected. The Imperial command ship hovered at the edge of Earth's solar system, its vast hull gleaming against the backdrop of stars. Inside, High Commander Veth reviewed the latest reports with growing frustration. Another silencer unit lost, he hissed, slamming his six-fingered hand onto the control panel. How are these primitives defeating our best assassins? His lieutenant, nervous to deliver more bad news, stood at attention. Sir, the humans are adapting in unexpected ways. They've abandoned electronic defenses in key locations. The silencers can't track what isn't there. Across Earth, Tae-sung's network expanded. What began as a small group of fighters had grown into a coordinated resistance. They called themselves the Shadow Guardians, operating in cells of 3 to 5 members. Each cell specialized in different environments, urban settings, forests, mountains, deserts. In New Delhi, a silencer assassination team prepared to eliminate the Indian Prime Minister. They deployed from a hidden shuttle, activating their cloaking fields. Their plan was simple and had worked on dozens of worlds: infiltrate, eliminate, disappear. They never noticed the three figures watching them from a market rooftop. Park Do-hyun and his team had been tracking the Imperial shuttle for days, using nothing more advanced than careful observation and message runners. As the silencers approached the government building, Do-hyun's team moved. They carried no electronics, no modern weapons, only tools crafted from materials that disrupted Imperial technology. They scattered specially prepared powder that revealed the invisible assassins as subtle outlines. The lead silencer realized they'd been compromised only when a wooden dart struck precisely where its cloaking generator connected to its suit. The technology failed, rendering the alien visible in the middle of a crowded street. The other silencers whirled, searching for attackers, but the Shadow Guardians were already moving. They struck from unexpected angles, using the environment itself as cover. Market stalls, awnings, even passing vehicles became tools in their fight. When it was over, 3 Imperial assassins lay defeated, their advanced technology overcome by human ingenuity and ancient techniques. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In Moscow, Kim Ji-woo led a team that prevented the assassination of the Russian president by luring silencers into a trap using simple mirrors and water to disrupt their sensory systems. In Cape Town, another cell successfully protected a gathering of African leaders using nothing more than carefully placed tripwires and clay pots filled with compounds that reacted with the silencer's breathing apparatus. The Empire responded by sending more advanced units. The new silencers carried improved cloaking technology and adaptive armor. But they still fundamentally misunderstood their enemy. They searched for technological counters when the humans were using methods that predated such technology. Taesung gathered his lead operatives in an abandoned temple high in the mountains. The stone walls contained no metal, no electronics, nothing the Empire could detect. The silencers are learning, he told the assembled group. They've adapted their tactics. Now we must adapt ours. He revealed the next phase of their plan. They would no longer just defend, they would hunt. Using knowledge gained from captured Imperial technology, they had identified patterns in silencer deployments. They could predict where the assassins would strike next. But how do we track their ships? Asked a newer recruit. We've given up all advanced technology. Taesung smiled. We don't need to track their ships. We need to understand their thinking. He pointed to a simple map drawn on rice paper. They follow logical patterns. Once you see the pattern, you can predict the next move. The Imperial assassins soon found themselves becoming the hunted. They would arrive at a target location only to discover Shadow Guardians already waiting. The humans seemed to anticipate their every move, appearing like ghosts from shadows, striking with surprising effectiveness, then vanishing. On the Imperial command ship, Vecth received a new prisoner, a captured silencer who had somehow survived an encounter with the humans. They knew we were coming, the injured assassin reported. They set traps using primitive methods. Materials our sensors can't detect. Techniques our combat systems don't recognize. Impossible, Vecth snarled. They're just humans. Barely space-capable primitives. Sir, the silencer responded, they fight like nothing we've encountered before. They don't rely on technology. They use shadows, patience, and knowledge of their environment. Vecth paced the command deck. The Empire had conquered thousands of worlds. They wouldn't be defeated by a single primitive planet. He gave the order for their ultimate response, a full silencer battle group with the most advanced Imperial technology. Back on Earth, Taesung received word of the escalation through the Shadow Guardians' network of observers. He gazed at the night sky, knowing what was coming. They're sending everything they have, he told Jaiwoo and Do-Hyeon as they sat around a small fire. Now we implement the final phase. Are we ready? Jaiwoo asked. Taesung nodded. They still think this is about their technology versus ours. They don't understand that we've been studying them as much as they've been studying us. He stood, his face determined in the firelight. It's time to take this fight to them. The Imperial command ship orbited Earth, invisible to conventional detection systems. Inside, High Commander Vecth prepared the final phase of the Empire's plan. A full battle group of elite silencers stood at attention before him, their advanced armor gleaming under the ship's lights. The humans have proven more troublesome than anticipated, Vecth addressed his troops. But today we end their resistance. You will deploy simultaneously to every major power center. No world leader will survive the night. Unknown to Vecth, a small shuttle approached his vessel. The craft had been constructed from salvaged Imperial technology, modified by human hands to appear as a maintenance drone. Inside, Taesung, Lee Min-jae, and Kang Sora sat in perfect stillness, controlling their breathing as they had practiced thousands of times. Approaching docking port, whispered Min-jae, who had once been a pilot before joining the Shadow Guardians. Their automated systems are accepting our codes. The shuttle attached to an emergency airlock near the ship's waste processing system, a vulnerability Taesung had identified from studying captured Imperial technology. No alarms sounded as they carefully cut through the outer door. Once inside, they moved like ghosts through the ship's lower decks. They wore simple black clothing with minimal equipment, only what was necessary for their mission. Each carried small pouches containing compounds that disrupted Imperial sensors. Remember, Taesung said softly, they expect attacks from weapons, not presence. Move like you belong here. They navigated through maintenance tunnels and service corridors, avoiding the main passageways. When Imperial crew members approached, the three humans didn't hide, they simply became still, controlling their presence so completely that the aliens' attention slid past them. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Shadow Guardians prepared for the coming attack. But instead of defending the expected targets, they set elaborate traps throughout the surrounding areas. They created false heat signatures to draw silencer attention while the actual leaders were moved along routes that left no technological trace. On the command ship, Taesung's team reached the central computer core. Sora, who had studied the Imperial systems most carefully, removed a small container from her pouch. Inside was a data device created from a combination of human and alien technology. Their system is designed to reject any foreign code, she explained as she worked. But this isn't code. It's a physical reaction that their sensors interpret as normal operation while altering key functions. In the command center, Vecth received the first reports from Earth. His silencers were encountering unexpected difficulties. Their targets weren't where intelligence suggested. Instead, they found elaborate misdirections. It's another of their primitive tricks, he snarled. Continue the mission. A junior officer approached nervously. Commander, we're detecting an anomaly in the ship's systems. What kind of anomaly? Unknown, sir. It doesn't register as a malfunction, but something is. The officer never finished. The ship's internal communication system activated without command. A human voice echoed through every deck. Hi Commander Vecth, this is Han Taesung of Earth. Vecth spun toward his security team. Find that human and kill him. That would be difficult, Taesung's voice continued calmly. I am already here. The doors to the command center slid open. 3 figures in simple black clothing stood there, no weapons drawn, no threatening posture. Just present. Imperial guards raised their weapons, but Taesung spoke again. I wouldn't. We've modified your ship's environmental controls. One signal from me, and the atmosphere in this chamber becomes unbreathable for your species. Impossible, Vecth hissed. You still don't understand, Taesung said, walking forward. You thought your technology made you invincible. You never considered that it also made you predictable. Minjae stepped forward with a small device. We've recorded everything. Your assassination orders. Your violations of galactic law. We've transmitted this evidence to every member of the Galactic Council. Vecth's face darkened with fury. You're lying. No human technology could reach the Council worlds. We didn't use human technology, Sora replied. We used yours. Your own communication systems, redirected to serve our purpose. On screens around the command center, messages began appearing, responses from various galactic civilizations, expressing shock and outrage at the Empire's actions against an emerging world. The Empire has rules, Commander Vecth, Taesung said quietly. Rules you broke when you tried to prevent our civilization from joining the galactic community. The Council takes a dim view of such actions. Vecth looked at the screens, then at the calm human standing before him. For the first time, real fear showed in his eyes. Your choice is simple, Taesung continued. Withdraw from Earth space immediately, or face the consequences of your actions before the Council. Hours later, the Imperial fleet began pulling away from Earth orbit. The assassination campaign was over. In a secure facility, world leaders gathered to hear Taesung's report. The Empire will return someday, he told them. But next time, it will be as equals, not conquerors. How did we win against such advanced technology? Someone asked. Taesung smiled slightly. By remembering that technology is just a tool. The shadow knows the light better than the light knows the shadow. Sometimes the oldest wisdom proves the most valuable.